Hope Cowan is harp faculty member at the University of Houston's Moore School of Music.
Yeah, so I'm playing the harp in third grade. In high school, kind of halfway through, I decided I really wanted to do harp as my career. I did an undergraduate degree at the University of Houston in music performance, and then a master's degree at Rice University. And then since graduating, I've really built a fun and varied freelance career for myself. Um, so I do a lot of different things. I kind of have two main portions to my career. So one is teaching, and I teach privately. I have a private studio of about 40 students that run in age from, 6 or 7 all the way up through, advanced high schoolers as well as adult learners. And then last year I joined the faculty at the University of Houston as their harp professor. So that's kind of my teaching side. And then as a performer, I've played doing some orchestral work. I was the principal harpist for the El Paso Symphony for 5 seasons. I'm currently a principal harpist for Symphony of Southeast Texas. And I do quite a bit of other kind of large ensemble work with various groups around Houston, musical theater, opera, symphony stuff. I do a lot of choral accompanying, which I really love. And then I also do quite a bit of chamber music. So I have several ongoing chamber groups. One is the Lynx Trio, which is harp, flute, viola. There's the Canticle Duo, which is harp and tenor. And then I'm also a member of Monarch Chamber Players, which is like a flexible collective of chamber musicians in Houston, kind of doing community-oriented performances. So it's a lot of different things. I also play weddings and events. Yeah, one of my favorite gigs is I play at the airport regularly. So I have a very full schedule, and I enjoy that though, and I've enjoyed that my career has a lot of different components. It's kind of more of a sort of a kaleidoscope career, or like a stained glass window, where I've got like little pieces of stuff, but it all adds up together to be a really wonderful way for me to just do harp, so I teach, I play, I do harp full time, but sort of a lot of different sides of it, which keeps it fun for me.
What is your favorite gig, venue, and why?
I think my favorite gig venue is the airport gig. And I love it because, unlike kind of most gigs where people, it's a private event or it's somewhere people sort of expect to see music, people aren't going to the airport to listen to music specifically or just to see a harp. And so it's kind of a surprise for them. And that's really fun, just to like see that surprise on people's faces. And then I also get to interact directly with just like a massive variety of people from all over the world, from all walks of life, and just seeing the way that the music brings them joy, and they're so excited to see the harp, and I try and play their favorite songs. So that's my favorite gig.
Since you are involved in quite a few chamber groups, what is your favorite blend of instruments?
That's kind of hard. I think each blend of instruments really has a unique character. I do really love flute, harp, viola, and I've had a flute, harp, viola trio. I'm now on my kind of second group, since graduate school. And so that's sometimes referred to as a Debussy trio, because that's the most famous kind of standard chamber work that we have, is the Debussy trio for harp, flute, viola. But there's a lot of new music written for that ensemble as well. And my Lynx trio has been commissioning some pieces. And so it's kind of fun just to see, it's our chamber group that has the most history. And then it's fun to be able to kind of like add on your own stamp, to that history by commissioning new works as well. So that's probably my favorite, but I definitely enjoy playing with really any other instrument. And it's always fun to play with a new instrument, like recently with Monarch Chamber Players, I played with oboe for the first time. And I don't think outside of orchestra, I'd never played with oboe before. And it was fun, but kind of different because you have to get used to the way they breathe and kind of how their instrument speaks. And yeah, so I like trying new things, but I do feel like harp, flute, viola has a really special place in our repertoire.
What are your favorite parts about being a faculty member at University of Houston's Moore School of Music?
Yeah, so I'm relatively new at University of Houston. I'm really right now working on building the studio. Um, so if anyone listening is a young harpist who's looking for a really vibrant and exciting musical home, we would love to have you. But yeah, so it's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed getting to know my colleagues. I did a faculty recital last year. I was able to collaborate with several of the other faculty at University of Houston on that recital. So that was really wonderful. That's one thing that's great about being on faculty at such a wonderful institution is now, I have all these other wonderful musicians as my colleagues to collaborate with. So that's been really fun. Some of the things I'm kind of most excited about at University of Houston is this is also relatively new, but they have a mariachi ensemble now. And so I've been kind of talking with the guy who runs that, and I'm going to try and learn more myself about that rich tradition of, Latin American harp playing. And then I'm really excited for my students there to have the opportunity to participate in that. The one other thing I think University of Houston they have a fantastic contemporary music ensemble, which is run by the composition faculty, and they are really excited about having harp. And so we've been sort of chatting about collaborations you know, with the performing series, and having repertoire that includes harp, but then also doing kind of a collaboration with the composition department where the student composers, write works for the student harpists and get to kind of learn from each other. So it's just an environment with a lot of collaboration, and it's an environment where there's a lot of exciting things happening. And so that's really fun to sort of be on campus, and there's just like an energy, from the other people that's really positive, and that's wonderful.
What are the most popular degrees your harp students typically major in?
Yeah, so that's one thing University of Houston, I think, really um, does really, really well, is offering a variety of degree plans and majors. So we have, a performance major, which is very similar to the degree plan offered at any other accredited university or conservatory. But then we also have a music education degree. So it's a bachelor's of music where you also come out of it with a teaching certification. So you're taking kind of those education courses alongside. I've noticed that University of Houston has really fantastic job placement for their music education majors. So it's like a fantastic network of alumni and the faculty there. And so I think the music education program is really wonderful. And, as a harpist, you could kind of honestly choose to go like an orchestra track, a band track, or a choral track on the music education, just depending on sort of where your interests lie. And then we do also offer a music business degree and a arts administration, like nonprofit administration degree program. And so that'd be somebody who's kind of probably interested in, yeah, like running a arts nonprofit. So those are kind of more like niche degree programs, but I think really wonderful to make sure people are getting those skills as well. We also offer a degree in music ministry. And so if you're kind of interested in going into a career as a church musician, that's a degree program offered. And then the newest degree program, which I'm also really excited about for harp, is music therapy. So it's, I think, one of only 2 programs in the entire state of Texas that's accredited for music therapy. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And harp is a pretty standard music therapy instrument. And so I'm hoping that both harpists will be interested in the degree, but then also maybe other instrumentalists or singers will want to learn harp as part of their music therapy studies. And so I think that's a really nice connection. And again, that music therapy degree, you come out of it with the degree, and then also, during your degree, you're doing mentorship and training. Like in the hospitals, there's a wonderful like network then for job placement. So it's there's a lot of variety. And then of course we also have music theory degrees and musicology degrees. So that's, music history. So it's, this is the benefit of it's a tier one public research university where you really have access not only to the music performance faculty, but then also, the rest of the university faculty. So there's the business school and, the composition departments and the music theory departments. And so there's really like a breadth and also a depth to the expertise of the faculty. And then also, there'll be students kind of coming from all over that have different interests in music. And I think that's something that's really fun. So like maybe you're doing a performance degree, but you have a friend that's doing education and you have another friend that's doing nonprofit arts administration. And then these are people that like you'll take with you in your career. So whatever you end up doing, you then have this like network of people doing a really kind of cool variety of musical activities, which I think is neat.
What aspect of being a harpist do you believe is most valuable for your students to learn?
It's hard to pin down just one because being a harpist involves so many things. I do think, of course, coming out of college, having studied sort of the big standard repertoire is very important. And also really feeling like you have good technical facility. Because, people told me this when I was in school and I didn't really believe them, but it's really true that those years in school are your years to like really do serious practicing, like get that work done. Because then life gets very busy when you're trying to like make a living doing the music. And yeah, so I want my students to make sure that they're using that time to really like build those fundamental performance skills, like playing skills. Aside from that, I think it's important for my students to come out of the degree feeling like they have the tools and the inspiration to go in any direction that they would want to with their harp playing. And so, I'm doing it every day, but I'm really kind of on the ground in the vibrant Houston music scene. And I see people, my friends and my colleagues and my peers doing all sorts of really amazing things with music, whether it's music therapy or they're a teaching artist doing work in schools or in community programs, or they're creating new kind of cross genre music. I've got friends that do jazz and they do pop and they kind of cross over, or they do wild electronic music. So there's just really, there's not one way to be a musician. And what I would love for my students to get out of the degree is feeling equipped to then go build their own path, because their path is not going to look just like mine and it's not going to look just like anyone else's. But that they really feel like they've got, the technical skills and the career support and kind of the network support to go, build whatever it is they're dreaming of. I'm not doing a good job of listing one thing. I'd say like the third major category that I want my students to make sure that they learn is how to teach. I don't really know any professional harpists who don't teach in some aspect of their career. So maybe that's just when they're touring soloists, they give master classes, but that's really important teaching, and that's important for building the next generation of harpists. My own career has teaching is like a giant piece of it, and I love to teach. And I think that sometimes music programs, we teach you how to play, and then we sort of expect that you'll just figure out how to teach on your own, which happens sometimes, but it's sort of its own skill set. So I'd love to just make sure my students feel confident sort of in pursuing teaching, however that might look for them. Maybe it's classroom teaching, maybe it's private lessons, maybe it's master classes. but just to have that comfort level of some experience and some discussion about what it looks like to teach harp.
Lastly, what advice would you give to students who want to become harp professors?
Um, I think my advice would be to, and this is maybe a little more broad than that. So I think that sometimes things like, um, getting a position as university faculty, it's a tough thing because it's not like you can't just sort of like go get this degree and then this degree and then this degree and then do this training program and then you'll have that. It's like a lot more of there's a lot of luck involved in I think most music careers. And there's a lot of hard work too, but I think that my advice in general for sort of career success is to say yes to as many things as possible. Um, and because you don't really know quite like where your career is going to lead you, if that makes sense. So to say yes to as many things as possible, because you'll learn that you have interests and skills that you didn't know you had. Um, and then you'll also meet other musicians that you wouldn't have met. And so music is really it's kind of a network based industry. I mean, most industries are, but I think music like especially is. And the way you build that network is by um, building a community around yourself of peers and of colleagues. And and I think that's sort of how people end up getting outside of orchestral auditions, which are a more kind of cut and dried process. Though even there, there's a resume round. Um, so it's not as black and white there either. Um, anyway, outside of that, I think most people's music careers are really built by having sort of the right skills and then being in the right place in the right time. And you can't totally control the right place, right time. But if you're in a lot of places at a lot of times, then it's much more likely that you'll have opportunities that come your way. So I think just finding work as a musician that you're excited about and that you're passionate about and you're going to really show up for. Um, that's something that really pays off then for you in lots of ways. Um, and then as far as teaching at a university, I think what happens is that if you've built that career for yourself, then when you are applying for those positions, you've got all sorts of exciting things to talk about as far as your own achievements, your vision for your students. Um, so I wish I had like a simpler answer, but I think that to me, one of the things about having a career in music is it's sort of build your own or choose your own adventure a little bit, which can be hard because there's not just like a one path that you just follow and then at the end you're a full-time musician. But it's also exciting because it means that you don't have to follow someone else's path. You can really find your own. So yeah, I'd say my kind of like shortest piece of advice is just like say yes to things and then be interested and curious in like what your music friends are doing, because you'll learn a lot from the people around you, and that goes to like the people you're in school with and the people you meet at gigs and the people you play in orchestra with. um, is just be really open to learning about like what are they doing, what's cool about their work. And that'll kind of lead you, I think, down down a path that's going to feel good and authentic for you.